All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we are actually joined by a Canadian punk rock legend. That's right. We actually have the guitarist, also another vocalist of GOB. We got Theo right here live on the radio station airwaves. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you doing there, DJ Immortal?
Oh man, I'm doing great, best as I can possibly be, man. I had to one of my good friends, he's not a huge punk rock fan, he's more into metal and whatnot. So when I told him I'm interviewing one of the vocalists of GOB, he's like, vocalist? You already interviewed him like a few weeks back. I'm like, dude, there's two vocalists in this band. You didn't know that? He's like, he's trying to fight me on it. So I'm like, dude, come here, let me show you. Like, let me teach you some punk rock history.
It is true, there is two of us. There's the Tom factor and the Theo factor, and
I gotta say, you both
combined we make a baby.
And I gotta say, a damn good baby at that too, man.
Look at my baby. This is my baby. Look at my baby. I mean, it's our baby.
And I gotta say, you guys got a lot of those already as well, because I do know just the song "I Hear You Calling" alone, man, definitely brought in a lot of platinum plaques.
Yeah, yeah, this is true.
And also as well, way before even GOB, man, I also read that you were actually a part of many other bands actually before yourself and Tom actually initially started GOB. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us about your humbling beginnings in the music industry, and of course, like, what other bands were you actually a part of before yourself and Tom actually launched GOB?
I was in a high school band called Four Barrel, which was to do with the carburetor of a, like a 350 Chevy engine or whatever, or a Ford, whatever V8 engine, and it had four barrels, which was usually the carburetor. So it was like, we were like, oh yeah, you got to have like something to do with a hot rod car. So it was kind of more of a rock band and fun, and didn't have a singer. We were trying to get a singer for that band, so it was kind of like a three-piece. And then we did play for the grads to raise money at the high school for the grads, and a lot of people came and basically witnessed instrumentals of. I think we played like "Breaking the Law," Judas Priest, and like "Ain't Talking About Love," Van Halen, one original, and whatever. There was a couple other ones in there too that I can't remember. But yeah, yeah. So that was that band. I mean, I guess that was my first kind of like band with other people. I always jammed and played guitar. I was still self-taught. I actually I was in some kind of word processing typing course for computer, and I just was so bored of it. And then I just asked if there was a way to get out of it. So I basically, my options were like home economics, like cooking and sewing, or acoustic guitar. So I took obviously this cooking and sewing, the guitar. And then that was how I started. And when I learned, I'm like, oh my God, this is hard, but I really love playing it, and I would bring it home and like literally play it for hours and hours, and just never like kind of parted with me, and kind of just sort of just loved playing music and just figuring out songs. And even if I was just do shitty versions of them or whatever, I would just try to have fun and stuff, and it's always been like that. But yeah, I mean, I played actually in a band with Tom, like sort of like an alt sort of punk, alternative kind of punk rock sort of rock band before GOB, but that didn't. I mean, my younger brother actually sang in that band, and I don't even know if there's any evidence of that out there anywhere, of video, or if it was this was like obviously a couple years before GOB was taken off in 93, 94 when GOB was. So it was like 92, I guess it would have been in. But anyway, there's probably a lot of people that are like, holy shit, this guy's old. Yeah, so we played in a band together, and then that band kind of just sort of parted, but Tom and I were good friends. And I remember when I met Tom the first time, I was hanging out with his brother, And his brother's like, because I'm like, oh, yeah, should get another guitarist in the band, and he's like, my brother can play guitar, and everybody's brother back then can play, played guitar, but you know, it's just because they played acoustic or at a campfire or just whatever. Um, but yeah, he kept telling me his brother played guitar, and I'm like, okay. So I hung out with Tom, and when he played, like, fuck, the motherfucker could play guitar. Yeah, so that was so that was awesome, and me and Tom clicked, like, you know, like an like a couple people from a lost African tribe. We clicked. Bad joke, sorry. But yeah, we got together. We were like, we love music, we love the same kind of music, and it was cool because I was already had, like a drum machine. I would program drums with the 4-track, and I have a 4-track recording, and I had original songs kind of started, and Tom was, I think, stoked on like that I was kind of, just doing sort of my own thing. And then we just anyway, we moved on into, and we created Gob. We had a couple songs that were writing in that other band that kind of almost worked sort of for that band, but it was more of what we wanted to do, which ended up becoming Gob. And then, yeah, I know you talked to Tom and you kind of know a bit of the Gob history, but I think we tried 6 drummers out for it at first before Wolfman. We found the right drummer, but we had Kelly Macaulay. That was she was working with Tom at A&B Sound, and that's how she joined Gob in the early stage. Like our first EP that we put out in April, I think it was on Tom's birthday or close to that, 1994. We made 500 CDs, and I think maybe 1,000. Maybe it was 1,000. I can't. I remember anyway. Maybe we mailed out a bunch to college radio, and like, because we'd go on tour with Maximum Rock and Roll, where book your own fucking life was a magazine. I don't know if you're aware of it. And you'd have to use a friggin' payphone, like we drive, with the van, if it made it there to whatever. But our first tour was down the west coast. It was like actually in the U.S. It was like in Washington, Oregon, in California. We did a 2-week tour. I think there was 9 or 10 shows, and that was like our first actually tour. We brought CDs with us and stuff. Yeah, so that was basically. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like ranting, raving on here with just talking about stuff that you didn't really ask about. So I'm just keep.
Oh man,
I'm gonna keep talking if you don't ask me another question.
I was gonna say, man, I wasn't complaining because honestly, as a Gob fan, there's stuff you said that I didn't even know about. I mean, like
Okay.
the fact that you and Tom were actually in an alternative rock band beforehand.
Honestly, it's kind of like, but it was kind of like a kind of heavy punk, sort of grungy rock, like punk band. Like it was still had a lot of punk elements to it, but it was it was just, it was sort of like, because of the other band members, sort of they kind of played more of that, and me and Tom, we kind of brought the punk part of more of it into it, I think. And I remember listening, because we were listening to like Ramones and Screech Weasel and like Dinosaur Jr. and Superchunk back then, and like all these, like kind of these bands that Tom would be working at the record store. He'd like have a tape or a CD, and we just say, "Oh, that this band's rad," or whatever, checking stuff out. This is obviously before the internet and the old school ways, when you kind of looked at, you like, "Oh, this album cover looks rad. Like maybe this band's cool," right? Like you kind of took a chance sometimes with a cool looking artwork or whatever.
But also, Theo, in the year 1995, you guys actually released the amazing 4-track, 7-inch vinyl project titled Dildozer on Nefer Records. I was wondering, for the listeners that actually aren't quite familiar with this earlier release project, I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this record, and of course, the very creative, gnarly album artwork.
Yeah. So Dildozer, it was like the precursor, I guess, to Too Late No Friends, because I think I think there's 4 songs on that. I don't even know where my copy of that 7 inches, but I think it was done on clear vinyl. The actual Dildozer, even though it was drawn by our good friend John Ashdown, he actually sort of drew the concept of the toilet, was the initial toilet with the old gob lettering with the sort of typed out lettering, but he had hand drawn it. So yeah, so anyway, so he was one of the founders of sort of like started with a little bit of our artwork, and he kind of like we like the dark kind of artwork or just like fun stuff, and he was always cool like that. And so I wanted to actually construct the dildozer, like actually go and get a big dildo and the bulldozer Tonka, and I was gonna kind of construct it, and that is like a true story. But like trying to figure out how to do, I'm like, I'm pretty good with figuring and fixing things and stuff like that. But it was like we were touring a lot and stuff, and it just it made more sense that someone would draw this thing, even though it would have been pretty awesome to actually build it. But I did end up buying. I remember going into a sex store to get the dildo, because I was like, well, okay, first component for the dildozer, you need a dildo. So I had to go to the sex store, and I went immediately to the half off bin, because I'm like, I'm not gonna spend tons of money on a dildo that we're not gonna use. Maybe, I don't know. I think Tom took it. I don't even know where it is. I think Gabe's probably good. His drum stool does look weird, actually. Come to think of it, but so we so he bought this dildo, and it wasn't just a regular dildo. It happened to be this one with like suction cup on it, and it had two balls, and it was like 15-inch long. Like it was huge, like a moderate size. No, it was huge, and it was called the John Dick Rambone, I think it was called, and it was like 50% off. It was like $20 or something, and I'm like, I gotta get this. This is like, I didn't even know they came that big. It just didn't make any sense. But I'm like, okay, so this is even funny. So I could always cut it, make it short, to whatever length if it's too big. Anyway, that didn't happen. But somehow the dildo somehow stayed in the van in a bag or something. And I remember on tour once, I think I tied a rope to it, and just as we're driving down, like I don't know, somewhere across Canada, for fun, I just started like swinging it out, I'm like, I think we're in Alberta, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lasso some, whatever. I just threw the, and then I would like drag it back in. I mean, the trailer of the van would like run it over, so the rope would get like kind of pulled, and it'd be kind of funny. And then it would have all these gravel pieces and just marks all over it. So I just kept doing it. And eventually it did. When I threw it out one time, it went into I think I did it on purpose, but I didn't think it was going to work out. I think I saw a cyclist. I think that's what it was. And I happened to throw it out the window as we're driving, and it went into his front spokes. And then he like kind of endoed over, and then the rope just started running out of the band. And then one of the guys that was hanging out with us, that was selling our merch, or from some other band that we were going to, he was wrapped on his hands, and it went like around, and it burned. And I was just like kind of shocked, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And far away you could see the guy, yelling it or whatever. I mean, he seemed to be okay. And maybe his wife or partner would be happy with him that evening.
That guy almost experienced death by dildo.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard of soap on a rope. This is taking it to the next step.
But speaking of that, if obviously this was like 94, 95, around this criteria, man, honestly, could you imagine if you guys actually had the cameras everywhere like we actually have today in 2023? That would have been a gnarly like album cover. If you would have snapped the photo of that guy going just over the handlebars, not the ground, but just flying, that would have been the perfect Dildozer album cover.
Yeah, definitely we would have been canceled.
I think at this point, even if someone tried to cancel Gob in 2023, it just wouldn't work, man. The whole cancel culture is kind of sad.
Yeah, I know it was a different time. Like, I mean, I think that all the shenanigans that we did, I mean, we did capture a lot of stuff on video, like high 8 cam, because we had actually camera with us a lot. And we do have probably, I think it's 10 DVDs of archive footage of us on tour, from the first tour from '94. Like it exists. I've seen it, and the public or the rest of the world has not seen it. But I thought it'd be cool, yeah, one day that, like, I don't know, Tom and I can go through it or whatever, or have somebody put some kind of thing together for Gob or whatever. Just have a kind of a special release at one point. That would be kind of cool, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny to, like, I hadn't seen it in like 20 something years, so it was like when I look back, seeing us all bright eyed and young and just not even knowing you know what life's about to fuck you up, motherfucker. Just kidding. But yeah, just like going into it, not knowing, having the time of our life, having so much fun, having no idea what, we didn't know that people would even like us, or just from doing one video to the next, and things were just starting to kind of like snowball, and like it was kind of like a roller coaster ride, right? Like is just kind of started taking off, and it wasn't a little bit unexpected, and just having a great time and enjoying the ride.
And also, as well, jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit, because obviously I know The World According to God was a huge success album for you guys. But the one album I got to bring up, man, is actually the FUEP that dropped January 1st of 2022. I was wondering if you can actually just break down this amazing release, because in my honest opinion, it doesn't get the love like it really should, in my honest opinion, man, compared to like The World According to God and The Foot and the Mouth Disease. The FUEP was absolutely amazingly extraordinary, in my honest opinion.
Well, I mean, the FUEP was basically sort of like a kind of like a greatest little moments of certain albums, but with some new songs obviously on it. The LA song and Sick With You, which is available. Actually, those songs are on that 7-inch. When you buy from Dine Alone that just got released, all that vinyl set, you get those extra songs on a 7-inch part of the Foot and Mouth exclusive package or something. I don't know. I haven't got mine yet. Like everyone else is getting theirs. I think me and Tom and the rest of the band, we haven't got our records yet, but I know they're coming. Just like the check, it's in the mail. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the FUEP was, Ming Tran, which I think is the one that starts that off. I haven't seen that record in a while, or that album, but yeah, I wanted to do a video actually, and I'm sure, and I think pretty sure Tom did too. I was hoping that was going to be like our kind of our first sort of single, or our first kind of like when you pre-release, album before the album gets dropped. There's sometimes like a pre-single or something that like they used to do. Anyway, I was hoping for that. But it turned out to be whatever. We were on a major label at that time. We got signed to Arista. Within I think 13 or so weeks after BMG or Sony bought Arista, so all these bands started getting like dropped, I guess, or whatever out of that. Because that kind of sucked, because we were just doing like a big 3-month tour in North America and Australia and Japan, and we're supposed to go to Europe at that point, and it was like, well, it was just kind of sucked that a bit, the timing of it, just the way it worked out. But just would have been nice to kind of ride that a bit and just go all over the whole entire world, so the whole world could have got more Gob.
I gotta say, I still have my copy of this album, man. For the past 20 years, I still have it on CD, man. And I gotta say, I still listen to it like it came out yesterday. And like when I'm in the car, if people hear Gob blasting, they know it's my car.
And do they all yell at you? Go, do we all have to hear that?
Honestly, I live in a very small town, so sometimes they do. But I got a great sound system in my Buick, so I just turn it up louder. And then I'm like, what? What was that?
Is it a Buick?
Oh, you want more? Okay.
Is it a Skylark?
It's a Buick for Nano. I mean, it's not like the best car, but I mean, the stereo system's freaking great in it.
Yeah, nice. It's got like 6x9s on the back deck there, in the back, on the wherever behind in the trunk. I guess it has a trunk, right?
It does, yeah. It actually, like, literally, when I turn the speakers all the way up, my actual like rear view mirrors actually rattle. So it's like, oh yeah,
Holy
perfect.
shit! That's some good good times, good rock in there with the speakers moving. I used to have speakers that used to do the same thing, and it would move the other 2 or 3 cars ahead of me, their mirrors too. But
Normally,
that's another
when I
story.
blast my music, I make people actually roll up their windows, but I just turn it louder so they can still enjoy it. I mean, maybe they're a little chilly. That's why I just turn it up a little more so they can still experience the music with their windows up.
Nice.
But also as well, April 1st of 2020, 2003, sorry, you guys actually released another amazing album, Foot in the Mouth Disease, that I briefly brought up a few moments ago, that actually landed 90th in the top 100 Australia charts. And since this year is the 20th anniversary of that release, I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about this amazing album. And of course, from what you remember, what is your most favorite memory of just creating this album in the studio with the rest of the band members?
With the foot and mouth you're talking about, right? You're talking,
Yeah.
yeah. So you said, was it number 90 on the top 100 in Australia? Is that what you said?
That's what I read, yeah.
Oh, you read? Okay. G'day, mate. That's I never even knew that. Thanks for letting me know. That's cool. I mean, I was hoping for at least 69 instead of 90, but anyway. Um, yeah, that album we did with Mark Trombino, and we wanted to work with him because we knew that he had worked with Jimmy Eat World, and he had done that album Clarity and Bleed American, which we were like huge fans of. And then we actually heard the demos he did with them before the album was recorded, or at the just before or after, I can't remember. Anyway, it was, so we were pretty stoked to work with him if you wanted. I knew, and then we knew he had done Blink 182's Dude Ranch, one of their older albums. And he also played drums and Drive Like J.U. So like we're just like, let's we're Tom, and we're all me and Tom wanted to work with him, I know, 100%. And we got the chance to work with him. We were in LA. We had to stay there for, I think, for 2 or 3 months. And in the meantime, we were doing some Warped Tour dates. I think we did some in LA and wherever we went. And then we went to, actually, in that time we were recording with Mark in LA, doing Foot and Mouth. We came up back to Canada, Vancouver, and worked with Mike Fraser at Brian Adams' studio there at the warehouse. And we did the FU EP in the between. Like, we recorded a couple more songs that we had, and then we just did those 2 songs, and then we went back down and finished Foot and Mouth, because they wanted to have something they want to pre-release to let the US, or I guess because in Canada at the time people kind of knew, we had a good following, I guess, and people knew of us more in Canada than more of the US. So I guess they were trying to do some kind of like something before, to get people used to Gob, like, I guess I'll put this on, get their ears used to it. And then they're like, the next album, like, oh, it's not so bad. So, and yeah, so that was, I mean, I remember it was weird because it was with Mark. He was like, we never knew him. Like, we were just getting to know him, and it ended up being, awesome in the end. And Mark was rad, and it was totally different, and different process, because a lot of the times we're involved quite a bit with producing and recording and stuff, and Tom and I do a lot of it. And this one was kind of like, we did the songs and we did the demos, and then we did them with Mark for about 3 weeks. We had the demos, and he wanted to try different arrangements and with the songs we have already written. And then and even lo and behold, while we were jamming, a side note on this that album, we were rehearsing, and beside us we kept hearing this guitar guy wailing in this band, and they're in this other room, because there's a bunch of different bands that rent out the places there where we're rehearsing to track the album Foot and Mouth, and I kept hearing this guy. I was like, fuck, that guy is fucking wailing pretty good. And then a few days later, whatever, I'm in the coffee room, and it's Slash from Guns N' Roses. So that made sense. Now I'm like, oh my god, it sounded like a slash guitar player playing, and it was him, and he was actually really nice. He actually picked up my 69 custom Black Beauty Les Paul and played it like he was playing it, and he wanted to ask me if I'd sell it. And he asked, actually, he said, if I got my guitar guy to look at this and this seems like one of the good ones, would you be willing to sell it? I'm like, no, it's my only 69. Like I didn't want to part with it because I got it, at the beginning of GOB, actually, when we first started. So yeah, I can't, it's one of my babies, so I can't let it go, and got to keep tracking and play more songs with it. So I don't usually bring it on the road too much. I did bring it out when I did in 2019. I brought it out for the Theo Thugs little tour I did in BC and Alberta. We did like 9 shows in 10 days, and yeah, I brought it out for that just because I kind of wanted to have a little my good luck charm guitar with me a bit. Not that I'm superstitious.
But also as well, especially a guitar that has that much history to it as well. After a while, man, you can't really retire it, but you also have to keep the baby safe, right? Bringing it on the road,
Yeah,
especially airplanes. I mean, like you can't really trust Air Canada, anyways, man. I mean, they'll lose luggage like no tomorrow, and they can't lose that iconic GOB guitar.
Flair is, I think we've had some. We took Flair and out of the 3 times they lost it twice, our stuff, or it got to us. We got it back, but yeah, it's not fun for sure. I mean, but they all do. I mean, it was a bad time. Like just when everything after COVID, it was kind of crazy.
And also, speaking of like just performances and whatnot, I know you mentioned this briefly a few moments ago, but you guys also had the opportunity to be a part of Van's Warped Tour on 4 separate occasions. For the listeners that never got the chance to experience an actual legendary Warped Tour, I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about your Warped Tour occasions, and of course, what is one of your most fondest memory you shared on tour? Because I've heard some pretty crazy stories when it just comes to Warped Tour.
Well, I mean, there's probably a whole bunch. Some I can probably talk about. But yeah, oh yeah, actually, there's one cool one with us, and we were out with Green Day on that Warped Tour, and I think it was Calgary, and it was right before we were gonna release World According to GOB, and we were just maybe we played a couple songs from that album just before we actually released it. Sometimes we play a couple songs from a new album coming up. But yeah, but anyway, so they told us Green Day was playing second to last and GOB would have to play last on the main stage. And we're just like, we gotta, hey, gotta get this, we're kind of thrown in the fire. But you know what? After Green Day played, everyone stuck around, and the good Canadians that they were supported us, and it was a pretty good time. And I remember playing in about the 3rd or 4th song on stage, just rocking out and moving around, and Billy Joel was with his arms crossed, just kind of watching us play on stage. And he introduced himself and he said, "I'm Billy Joel." I'm like, "I know you are," and he invited me on their bus. And then he blew me. No, he didn't. I'm just kidding. He invited me on the bus, and then he
played about a crazy Warped Tour story.
You're just like, when is this gonna get good? This story. No, but he invited me on the bus, and then he played me. I think it was the Warning album. I remember him playing me some new songs that they hadn't released, or just it was coming out or whatever. So it was kind of cool. That was cool. But I also witnessed Fat Mike from NoFX and Billy Joe from Green Day playing dice or cards, and they were like, it started getting kind of heavy because a lot of more money was thrown out. A lot of people were kind of like, okay, this is getting, I can't afford this. And so it was kind of like always them at the end, the 2 guys at the end with, with the more money staying in, and that's it. I mean, no, I have this other story. I mean, Eminem was on one of the tours we were on. I wish I got to. I kind of only just said kind of hi and just kind of head nod a couple times. But he would always, because he was kind of like he was in hip hop, and some people are a little bit, just not as open minded sometimes, I guess. And it's because most of the times on those Warped Tour, it was all just like kind of like either like kind of metal or punk bands, and then just all sorts. Uh, in the earlier days, and then it started changing slowly after the 2000s. I know that they started putting more diverse kind of stuff on it, which is cool. Like, that's kind of mixing it up. But yeah, I mean, I remember jumping off the main stage in Portland, Oregon, and I landed on the ground and I tore my ACL. So that wasn't fun. I actually severed it, which wasn't fun at all. It was excruciating.
So did any of the fans even try and catch you, or did they just like
No,
follow the
it was the first song of the set, and we had half an hour, and I just kind of like I had water coming out of my eyes. It was in so much pain. I played through the whole set. I couldn't really move around, and then at the end I had to yell for the guys to kind of put their arms around, and they kind of come back to walk me off because I couldn't even walk. I couldn't put any pressure on the one leg because it was at the time I didn't know I severed the ACL. But we were on a grueling tour. Like we drove 56 hours or something from Ottawa, some festival, to Portland, Oregon. Like we had to get across, and then like we literally just arrived, and then at 9 a.m. like we're all taking turns driving. We're super tired. And then like at 9 or 10 a.m. when we arrived at the office, they're like, okay, you guys are on at 11:30. So just try to get an hour or 2 hours of sleep before we get on the stage or whatever. But it was just, once you're going, you're touring, and we're jumping around, high energy and whatever. And obviously your ligaments, bones, and muscles can take only so much before,
And also, as well, Theo, aside from the music industry for a few moments, you also actually ventured into the acting side of the entertainment industry as well, where you were actually a part of the 2004 film Going the Distance and the 2008 film Sharp as Marbles. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about these two film roles for yourself. And of course, if given the opportunity, would you ever dip your toe back into acting?
Do I have to talk about these movies?
Hey man, if you want to skip it, we definitely can. There's
no. It's a fair question. I mean, Going the Distance was kind of fun. It was more like hurry up and wait. Kind of, we were there for like 12 or 15 hours, and then they finally, filmed us doing our part. But yeah, I got to change some lines in that movie because it was kind of like I told the director, I'm like, I wouldn't say this. Like this sounds like kind of lame, like and because I did what they told me to do, but I said I wouldn't say it. And then like they kind of changed it up a bit. And I'm like, I would, and then I just kind of made it more funnier, or just something that seemed more kind of like unexpected, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I just shoved the banana, I think, in the guy's mouth, and I said, "Deep throat this bitch," or something, and and they ended up using it, which was funnier. And then I had to go back up to some studio and redo it, like redo the line for TV because they couldn't use that line for cable TV, I guess. So it was just like I had to watch my mouth, and there's like a timer, and I had to, speak. And I think I said, "I like peanut butter. You like peanut butter sandwiches?" Or it was something like that instead of saying, "Deep throat this bitch." But you could clearly tell it was like total, like, like Enter the Dragon overdubbing, like deep throat this bitch, or I say peanut butter sandwiches. It was total like it was like that, but it was kind of funny, I guess.
But it's cool that you actually improvised that and they actually included it in the movie. Because I got to say that is definitely a Theo line, man. I mean,
was
like
a guy. I was talking to a guy when I said it. It wasn't a woman or a child. It was a guy that he was like coming backstage or trying to hang out or meet Avril or something, and he was trying to hang out with the bands in the movie, and I guess we were just supposed to like make fun of him and just like, and then that's how it all that role in the movie. As of Sharp as Marbles, that one like uh that one was like had they asked us to do this kind of like family kind of like I think they were looking for not to do the movie, a Christmas story, but like that they wanted that kind of warmth and kind of like that kind of like following, or like try to make a movie that had a like kind of like a cult classic-y kind of like that, like um and a fun kind of for everyone to watch. But it wasn't. It didn't turn out like that. But me and Tom, they asked us to be ourselves, and I remember us were like the roles were like these kind of bullies, and so we ended up showing up on set when they were filming like weeks later. Like I shaved my head into like a 3-finned orange mohawk. Tom had the mohawk. We had like piercings and dog collar. Like we came in, and I had like spray paint thing like Blade Runner, like Chris from the original Blade Runner. Like I wanted I wanted us to look like bad, like super kind of over the top, like we came from Planet Punkity Punk, and just and we were just these kind of like buffoons and stuff. And I think that we we did good. Let's throw to the clip. Well, DJ Immortal. Let's go to the clip. You probably don't have it, but anyway,
I don't have it loaded up. I should have, though. I mean, I should have.
So yeah, I mean, we just had to play these kind of buffoons, like kind of people, whatever, bugging some young teenagers, like they were like dumping Slurpee, like slush cat or whatever Slurpee on their heads and shit. And I mean, what they were doing with us, it seemed kind of like, oh, this could be good, but when you watch the whole movie, it was kind of like really boring. And I mean, I sound like I'm stroking our own ego here, but I feel like, and I've been told by family and other friends that our part was the best part of the movie, and I think we needed to do our own versions of, like our characters could have, spawned a whole different series. Anyway.
But I will say the throw to the clip aspect, I literally am sitting here and I got to say that would definitely be a perfect clip for Instagram, man. So
yeah,
I'm definitely going to work.
I think I have a picture of us, me and Tom. I think I posted it, or maybe we posted it before, but I'll find it. And I don't know. Obviously, it's live, so it's kind of hard to obviously do it now. But yeah, of course, because I didn't know what the questions we were going to ask, so obviously it's all good. But there is a picture somewhere. I think it's either on my Instagram feed at Theo Gob on Instagram or on the Gob band Instagram. I know I posted it a long time ago or for something, but I can't remember. It was years and years ago. So,
but also as well, like jumping right into 2023. This year obviously has been a very eventful year for Gub. You guys revamped your entire website, released all the older albums on vinyl, and of course are currently on tour with Billy Talent. I was wondering if you could actually shed some light on what is next for Gub, and of course, is there actually any plans to actually do another Gob album actually in the future?
Yeah, so 2023 is definitely picked up for us. We're getting the band back together. Yeah, we only did 4 shows last year, and we hadn't done much in the last 5 years previous to that. Tom was busy a lot with Sum 41. Also, now that we're kind of like we got a lot of shows that we were asked to play, and Billy Talent obviously asked us to do shows. So we love them, they love us. That's how sometimes it happens. And yeah, no, we've been getting asked a lot to play this year, which is great. And it's so far worked out really well, even with Tom's schedule and stuff. So that's the most important thing. It's like it's a balancing act sometimes and all that. And I know Sum 41 is going to be winding down, I guess in 2025, I think. You didn't hear it from me though. Uh, so, and I think they're going to be pretty busy next year, 2024. But Tom and I are still writing songs, and I know I've heard some of Tom's demos of the new stuff, and I've played him some of mine. And so, ideally, yes, a new Gob album. We have. I feel like people been waiting a long time, or I don't know if they care anymore, but I think when we put something out again, it'll be good. And like again, we try and make it awesome, and make it interesting for our listeners or just ourselves too. But yeah, we definitely want to do a new record. I don't know what I don't have any like plans of or like we had all scheduled out or what we're doing, but I know Tom and I have talked about it. So that would be awesome if we could come out with an album in 2025, if it was possible, like to have it out. If we can spend next year kind of getting the album, if we can get the songs together, figure out which ones we're going to do out of the bunch that we like, and actually have time to do it. So that's just basically how it'll work. And I might have to go out to New York and hang out with Tom and work on some stuff like I did a few years back before the COVID-19 happened. I was out there. We worked on a few tunes together, and it was fun. Yeah. So we get. I mean, we do obviously our own little demos at home and stuff, but us in person interaction, and it seems to flow and just be always awesome like that. I feel myself.
And also as well, I'm super stoked because I actually finally get to see you guys live actually for the first time in Kingston, Ontario. Actually, coming up September 21st. I got my pit tickets, so I'm gonna make sure I arrive early to the guardrail.
Right on. That's right. Are you gonna have a sign that says "Marry me"?
I don't think I'm gonna go that far. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm gonna go that far, but I'll think of something creative.
Carry me.
I was thinking more like I hear you calling or something like that, but we'll definitely I'll have a month to decide.
Yeah. You name the song, and we'll play it for you.
Honestly, man, I'm pretty sure you guys already are going to play it, but I would love to actually hear "For the Moment" and, of course, "Give Up the Grudge."
Okay, well, we weren't going to play either of those songs, but just for you, we'll play both of those. So Kingston's lucky that you're showing up.
Hey, man, I got to say, I can't go wrong with that. And then plus, I mean, it's Billy Talent and Gob in one night, man. I mean, people better go home happy because there's no way any real punk rock fans are going home disappointed September 21st.
Yeah, and we're going to have a whole bunch of new merch there, and our vinyl too. It's going to be like Christmas in September.
Hey, man, honestly, all I gotta say to Theo is shut up and take my money because I'm definitely buying some merch out there in Kingston. I'll tell you that.
Okay. All right.
But
well,
also,
Billy Talent will be taking your money. I mean, just kidding. I was just joking about that.
But also as well, though, Theo, because obviously, you know what I mean, we touch base on like just little aspects of your entire career, including with Gob. I do know if we were to talk about every single thing you guys did, we'd be here probably until 6 a.m. But with that being said, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Like anything you do still want to talk about or promote? We still got you here live on the radio.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I guess the Theo and the Thugs thing. I know that you had put that up on the ad for Instagram at one point. I saw that, and so yeah, Larry, he drummed on my good friend Larry. He passed away, I think it was 2022 of January 6th, actually. He was only 38, and he played drums, and he was also the drum and guitar tech as well in Gob. So not only lost, like a brother, basically a brother, like in a family member in a sense. They loved him, and just so he was a great drummer too. And I had done I'd done 13 songs I tracked with him, and he played all the drums, and went and did it. And the one song, the only song that so far that I put out was the cover song we did of the Platinum Blonde, Doesn't Really Matter. That's on all streaming platforms. But yeah, so I did that, but I have 12 other like original songs. And they were actually like kind of like gob songs or older ones that we didn't really do or wanted to work on as like. So I had kind of worked on these songs, but and then some of those might be gob songs too. So I do want to finish that. It was just hard to go back and and finish it after he passed away. So it was just I didn't want it to be like it was kind of gloomy, and I was at it wasn't it's fun to do it. So I kind of just step back, say, like I just want to be in a better place when I'm working on the music. I don't want to be upset, and that because you can hear Larry even talking on the track sometimes, and when I'm playing guitar or like tracking, bass, because I'm doing the guitars, bass, and singing on there, and yeah, so it's kind of like, so it was just a little bit, it was hard. So anyway, I'm feeling a lot better about it. I went and listened to some of the stuff not too long ago, and I was excited to actually get back on the saddle with that too. But I'm also working on gob songs too. So yeah, so that I've always wanted, that was sort of like a passion project, the Theo and the Thugs thing. It was sort of like a tie over, like, because gob was like, if it weren't doing anything, and I'd be, was trying to get that released. And I did do some shows with Larry when I did those shows in 2019. We did do 9 shows. He came and played, and it was great. Like the cancer was kind of still lingering, and but he was able to have energy and play it on that tour, which is, I'm so stoked that I got to do that with him. That meant a lot, and his family and his mom and that too, and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it was a hard one. Yeah, so.
And I do want to say, Theo, my sincere condolences. I've never had the opportunity to meet him, obviously, but I've seen pictures, and he looked like such a stand-up, amazing guy, man.
Yeah,
so
he's he's definitely. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely is one of the good ones. Like, he would be there for you. He'd just do like, he was like a sweetheart of a person, and yeah, it just sucks that we lose those types of people in the world, because we need more of those and less fucking assholes. So.
I definitely agree, man. I definitely agree with that. There's way too many dickheads in the world.
Yeah. Like, and when I mean assholes, I mean people that do fucking crazy shit too. Like, kill people or rape. And it's like, you take a guy that's like just an amazing dude and like such a sweetheart, and he's the one that gets, the one that has to get, serve that kind of shit. The universe, whatever, it just fucking kind of sucks.
But also, Theo, because obviously I know how to follow you on social media and whatnot, but for the individuals that aren't social media savvy, that really aren't good with searching people up, how do they actually go about following not only yourself, Gob, and of course Theo and the Thugs as well?
Yeah, it's just I'm Theo Gob on Instagram. I think it's the same on Facebook, or I don't know if it's Theo Goutzinakis or whatever, I think, on Facebook. But and yeah, I mean, what else? I don't know what other I mean, obviously Gob Band, that's the band, and there is a Theo and the Thugs one. It's been pretty dormant though for a while, but yeah, that basically you can find it all there. But mostly Theo Gob is where, if you want to look at some stupid stuff I've done in the past and made fun videos or whatever, there's some silly shit on there still.
And speaking of funny shit, man, I actually saw that you actually kind of recreated your guys' debut album cover. For the people that don't know, Too Late, No Friends is he recreated this album cover the other day where he showed himself falling on a bike out there in Washington.
Yeah, it was in Long Beach. Yeah, it was actually, I was doing it, like I wasn't planning it, but in my head, I was with, was with a bunch of people, and I thought it would be funny to, like, sort of, have a crash scene. So when they came around the corner, they would see, me like unconscious, and they came around the corner just laughing. So it wasn't even like and then they were still laughing. I just laid there, pretend like, okay, I'm just gonna keep laying still. Maybe they'll wonder if I'm, and then they just kept laughing, and then so I had to say, I can't feel my legs, and they still kept laughing. And then I got up. I'm like, you fuckers, like I could have been hurt. And they guess no. And then when I saw someone took the picture, and it wasn't planned, so and then someone took the picture of it. So when I saw it and they sent it to me, I'm like, oh my god, I've recreated, Too Late No Friends, and that's kind of like where that kind of came from in the BMX kind of at Qantas and Langley area with our friends. Like if you'd wipe out on a bike, you kind of laugh at the person, like they go, ha, too late, no friends. So it was kind of like that's where that came from. sort of like, hey, loser, whatever. But it was like a nicer way of saying it, I guess.
And I gotta say as well, like that photo, like it's cool that it actually wasn't planned, but I definitely smelled like another album cover. That's all I gotta say. I definitely could sense something there.
I took that album cover of Too Late No Friends, the one with Grant Lawrence on the front.
Yeah.
I think we put in the things we said, thanks to Luke Perry on the front. We as a joke because we thought Grant Lawrence kind of looked like Luke Perry or whatever. We were just kind of, I think it was just a joke, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I had a 35 mil like analog camera, took a bunch of pictures. I think the first album cover, the EP, Tom took that with a Polaroid of the EP shot, which is on the vinyl album and the old CD. And yeah, so it's just, yeah, I mean, that's how usually we come up with the names for the album. It's kind of like, it comes up, sometimes it's kind of there. And like I think you were talking to Tom about World According to Gob, and like we were kind of thinking of calling it Love and Relationships, and like there's a guy sawing through the door or whatever, like just it would have worked still with that artwork because it's kind of a joke and it was fun. But there's a lot of people like, what are you going to call it like that's not that whatever. And then we ended up watching World According to Gob in the studio at the time we were tracking that, and I remember saying, because then I'm like, hey, why don't we just call the fucking album World According to Gob? And Tom was like, that's it, bingo.
I still think the original album with the original name you guys thought of still would have worked, man. Because in my honest opinion, I always let the music do the talking, man. And obviously the songs would have been the same, man. So I think it still would have worked no matter what you would have made.
I think that it's like, like, oh, if they didn't call it World According to Gob, like it's like, or if that band was called something else, I think that once it's set and that's the name, like you just get used to it or whatever. Obviously there are things that are cooler than other, but I mean, yeah, I think that I don't think anyone would have, like you said, if it was, it still had, great songs on it and, ones we still play today and stuff.
And speaking of the World According to Gob, obviously, before we actually part ways, I got to ask this question because I know you, I can definitely tell you watched the interview with Tom. The one thing I've always tried to figure out was the girl in the actual video of I Hear You Calling. Do you have any idea who that actually is? Because she looks like Tori Wilson, the WWE wrestler.
It's actually me in a costume. No, that
is great. That is some great CGI. I like that.
This is before CGI. No. Actually, I remember I saw the interview, and I remember you asking Tom, and I was like thinking I should look into that so that I could answer that question for him if he interviews me, and then ADHD squirrel. I totally forgot about it, and until you said it now, so I had not even thought about it until I saw that interview with you and Tom.
Because when I was a kid, man, when I first saw that interview, because I was young when that interview was, when that music video came out, and I always said to myself, I'm like, wow, that looks like Tori Wilson, because around that time she was just kind of debuting in the WWF and whatnot. So I was like, man, that looks like Tori.
Was she from Toronto?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't really know like her history per se, but
this girl was from Toronto.
I don't know. I definitely am going to Wikipedia. If she's not from Toronto, then I'm wrong.
Yeah. All the people that were in that, like there was people from the girls from the Toronto Argonauts, like cheerleaders that were dressed up as the zombie girl. Like we filmed that video in Toronto, because the director was from there, and so yeah, I mean he would probably know. I guess we could reach out to him and ask. But yeah, it's definitely not her. I don't think it's her who you're saying it is.
Oh, definitely, probably. It's probably just. It sounds bad to say. She was a blonde individual. It was like, just coming out of the 90s. I mean, it could have just been like a doppelganger in a way. That's what I look at.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe this person was, had an acting career, or they're pursuing, because someone did obviously like a casting for the video. Like they had the team that did the video, the production company, got everyone together. And when we showed up, everything was just sort of like ready to go. The director had everything ready to go. And then, so we met everyone. But the thing is, the after party was when everyone wasn't wearing makeup and something. So we didn't even know who anyone was. I kept saying, who are all these people? They're like, we were in your video. Oh, okay. Because they were wearing all that. I did get to keep one of the head that I ended up kicking the ball and knocking the head off of the zombie. That thing was real lifelike. It had like fake hair on it and stuff. I remember bringing it home as a souvenir, and then I put it in my friend's bed as a joke. And he had a fucking heart. Like he literally, he happened to be putting his shirt on or something. Like he came into his room, he didn't see it at first, and then he was like went into his closet. I guess he was taking his shirt and putting a new one on, and he's pulling the shirt over his head to put it on as he was like walking out, and he saw that zombie head just sitting in his covers I had put like made it look like there was the rest of a body in there. And so his face was in shock, like color had changed. Like he literally he fucking had a heart attack. He was just like, he didn't even know. He thought it was real. He kept slowly going to it and like trying to see if it was real, because it actually had like it would push in like flesh, like skin. So whoever made it did a great job. So I thought it was.
Do you still have it to this day, or is it just
have it? It's somewhere in some storage container thing somewhere. I'm pretty sure I still have it.
That's actually pretty cool. I honestly, though, I'm glad your friend didn't actually have a heart attack.
It's one of those things I just always carry on, because I've always want a little head.
And I mean, also too, it's great to scare people as well, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for Halloween, I guess. And Los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, Los Muertos Vivos. Is that the Day of the Dead?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I know an album called Muertos Vivos. Just kidding. All right.
I got to say, I think I know that album too. I think it's from a band called Gob. I could be mistaken. Great band, though.
Yeah. I've heard of it.
But I got to say, Theo, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station Airways a bit of your time, man, and just coordinating this and actually making this interview possible, man. Like I said, I've been a huge fan of Gob pretty much my whole life, man. So just being able to say I interviewed every member of the band is truthfully an honor, man. Thank you so much for music that not only myself, but millions of individuals had the opportunity to enjoy for many years, man. I can definitely say your music helped me and helped many other people, man. I'm super stoked to see you guys in concert, and I'm super stoked just to see what comes next for Gob, because it sounds like you guys are just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully getting a reboot, getting a bit of a version 2.0 or 3.0, maybe not. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate all that nice sentiment there. You're very welcome, and thank you for listening to us and all the fans out there that help make us who we are, or enjoyed our music or help them in any ways. Like, it's awesome. Yeah, and I feel lucky to still be doing it after all these years, and people still want to hear our stuff, or and people show up and sing along. As long as there's people showing up and singing along, I ain't gonna stop too. So
Hey, I gotta say, I don't think anyone's gonna stop showing up for a very long time, man. So yeah, and also here at the radio station, man, if you guys keep making it, I'm gonna keep spinning it as well, man. So you guys
great.
always have radio play over here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Hey, you're most certainly welcome, Theo. Definitely have yourself a phenomenal night, and I will see you in about little less than a month in Kingston, Ontario.
You bet.
Thank you so much again, Theo. Have yourself a great night.
Okay. Good night.